Alright, so now we're going to talk about dissonant and consonant intervals. Um, First I'll go over the definition of dissonant and consonant. Some intervals sound really nice and pleasing to the ear. We call these consonant. And then some intervals sound really nasty and clash when we hear them. These are called dissonant. So let's start with a unison. Now, a unison is when you have two notes in an interval, and the notes are actually the same exact note, same frequency. So you go from, say, from the beginning here, we have a C and a C. Now, those stacked would be a unison, right? Or them right next to each other would be a unison as well. So let's hear what those sound like. So those sounded pretty good. I'm going to say that those are consonant. Now let's talk about a minor second and a major second. A minor second and major second, you'll hear, sound really terrible. Let's listen to those. They clash a lot, and you'll see we'll label them as dissonant. Hear that clash? Yep. So they had a pretty strong clash there to the ear, so those are dissonant. Now moving on to a minor third and a major third, we have what we call consonant intervals. These are our first after the unison. Let's take a listen to those now. That sounded pretty good. Again, sounds very nice. Now we're going to move on to the perfect fourth. Now, perfect fourth actually sounds quite nice. It's one of the nicest other than a unison. We'll call that one consonant as well. Let's listen to it. Very nice. Now, moving on to the tritone. The tritone is either an augmented fourth or a diminished fifth. Now you can see in an augmented fourth we've got the C up to an F sharp. That would be 1, 2, 3, 4. But with that sharp, it just ever so slightly makes the space larger. So it's not a perfect fourth. We now have an augmented fourth. Same thing with the diminished fifth. We have the C, D, E, F, G, but it's G flat. So we don't have a perfect fifth, it's just slightly smaller than a perfect fifth. Now the interesting thing about the augmented fourth and the perfect fifth is that they sound exactly the same, because the distance between the two intervals, from a C to an F sharp and the distance between a C to a G flat, is exactly the same. So let's listen to that now. That clashes a lot. So you can hear they're the exact same interval by hearing it, but by seeing it, it looks different. The space in between is written differently. It's spelled differently by letters, but it is the same interval. That's why we call them the tritone. Okay, so now we're going to move on to the perfect fifth, which sounds lovely. It is, again, one of the very nicest sounding intervals of all, so we are going to call it consonant, unlike the dissonant tritone. Okay, so that one sounded quite lovely. We are going to move on to the minor sixth now. The minor sixth and the major sixth are also considered consonant. They don't quite sound as consonant as something like a perfect fifth or a perfect fourth or a unison, but they do sound quite pleasing to the ear. So let's take a listen to those now. Very nice. Okay, so now we're going to move on to the minor seventh and then next to the major seventh. First, we'll listen to the minor seventh. The minor seventh is our next dissonant interval. Here we go. So you hear it does clash quite a bit. So now moving on, we are going to listen to the major seventh, which is right here. So first the major seventh. Now that one you can hear, that one actually clashes quite a bit, so that is dissonant. And now moving on to our final interval, the octave. Now the octave is very, very nice sounding, along with a unison, a perfect fourth and a perfect fifth. But I would say the octave and the unison clearly sound the nicest to the ear. So let's take a listen to that now. Okay, so let's listen, let's review one more time. We have the unison, which is consonant, minor second and major second right here, and these two intervals are dissonant. Major third and minor third, these two are consonant. Perfect fourth is consonant. Augmented fourth, diminished fifth, also known as tritones, are dissonant. Perfect fifth is consonant. Minor sixth and major sixth are both consonant. Minor seventh is dissonant. Major seventh is dissonant. And octave is consonant. So now you know which intervals are consonant and dissonant. Please be sure to label all of your intervals whenever you list all of your intervals when you're making your scales or writing out your pieces of music. Make sure you label consonant and dissonant intervals. Very good.